So good morning to one and all present here. I, Dr. Bobby Basu, teacher in charge, Heritage Business School, take this privilege to welcome you all to today's webinar. Today, our guest speaker is Mr. Ishandeb Chatterjee. He's the Director, Sales and Marketing Task Force at Westin, Dhaka, and also the Director of Sales and Marketing at Sheraton, Dhaka, Bangladesh. It's my proud privilege to share that Ishandeb is also an alumnus from Heritage Business School from second batch, that is 2004-2006. Ishandeb has an extensive and well-rounded experience of 15 years in hotel hospitality industry, spanning various domains in the area of revenue management, marketing management, customer relationship management, sales resource development and deployment. Prior to joining Marriott International in January 2020, Ishandeb has served other leading high-end luxury hotels like the Swiss Hotel Kolkata, the Hyatt Agency Kolkata, Hyatt Regency the Kolkata, the Hotel Hindustan International Kolkata at various senior managerial positions. Ishandeb has also received several accolades like our Voice Leadership Award 2016 at Swiss Hotel Kolkata for employee engagement, and he was one of the top 10 scorers in Asia Pacific region. He has also awarded with the Leader of the Year Award 2015 at Swiss Hotel Kolkata for his outstanding achievements. Ishandeb is certified in Hospitality Business Acumen, that is CHBA, Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International, HSMAI, and Accor Hotels Business Campuses Revenue Management and Pricing Performance. Mr. Ishandeb Chatterjee is an alumnus from Don Bosco School, Park Circus, Kolkata, and is happily married to Rajeshri Chatterjee, who is also an alumnus from Heritage Business School. And he's a father of a beautiful and little sweet daughter. Being an effective business leader in the hospitality industry, Ishandeb will be speaking on the topic, Hospitality Industry, a great move for the management graduates. I'm sure it is going to be a very, very interesting session, and many of you may be thinking of or interested to join the hospitality sector after listening to Ishandeb. So without further delay, I would now request Mr. Ishandeb Chatterjee to start his deliberation. Participants are requested to put their questions in the chat box so that they can be taken up for the discussion in the question answer session. With this, over to you, Mr. Ishandeb Chatterjee. Over to you, Ishan.
Yes, a very good morning to aspiring bunch of my Heritage Business School students. As ma'am has already introduced me, I will not go into my introduction any further here. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about hospitality industry as an option for the management graduates. I'm going to make it more, I do have a lot of graphs and charts on my presentation. However, I'm going to make it more like a storytelling for all of you, so that you somehow understand why we are having this session today and why it is important for all of us to look around into various opportunities in our careers, and we that's how we can focus from the first year onwards where we would want to be when we finish our curriculum at the business school. Okay, so a little bit of a storytelling before we go into the depths of the topic. This industry earlier was a very, very basic industry where it was a little bit of food and beverage, a little bit of heads on beds. That's about it. That's how we had perceived the hotel industry to be. And I would not be, surprised if a lot of us would still perceive the hotel industry to be a place where we just go for a quick lunch, a stay when we are somewhere, traveling somewhere in the country or outside the country. But then that's just the front end that we as individuals or human beings who visit a hotel look at the hotel industry as. But the back end has really improved over the years, okay, and that's happened because of the digital revolution that has happened in the world. And the big brands have ensured that they adapt to the digital revolution, by virtue of which we have seen that the hotel industry is also a place where they need skilled workers, skilled resources who would be able to contribute and who would be able to be in parity with this digital revolution and take things forward in a much more professional way. All right. So I would also like to be upfront in telling you that I have not done any hotel management education prior to joining the hotel industry. So a lot of you might be thinking that I have not done my hotel management. How would I cope up in the hotel? So, those are things of the past. And today we are talking probably of disciplines like sales and marketing, disciplines like human resources, which do not require an education in hotel management for us to go and join in the hotels. Okay. I have a small quote there from J.W. Marriott, who's the founder of the Marriott Corporation, which is one of the largest hospitality groups today. And it's my privilege that I'm a part of that corporation today. I work for Marriott International. Uh, can we go to the next slide, please, ladies and gentlemen? Brilliant. So, some facts and figures which I could not resist but put here just to put a perspective to our discussion. The global hotel industry comes under the umbrella of travel and tourism industry. You see, the contribution has been phenomenal. And I'll be honest with you, I have figures where we were looking at the brighter side of life before COVID. And we're going to discuss the figures that were there before COVID, because COVID is not going to be a situation that we're going to be always struggling with. Every 10 to 12 years, the world sees these kind of situations, be it the recession, be it the COVID. But we human beings have this urge to always, surface out despite our problems, and we always come up as winners. So let us not look at what COVID's given us, the setback, but let's see how we used to do before COVID and how we are going to do probably 1 year down the line. Okay. So you can see Marriott International generated 21 billion US dollars in sales revenue. This was double the sales revenue of any other hotel company in the ranking, right? So, that's the fun in being with chains which are international chains. They give you the exposure, they have the thrust, they compete in a global arena with a lot of other hotels companies, a lot of other chains. And today the hotel industry, we proudly uh, are in the Forbes top 10 list of industries who actually make a difference to the world. Uh, can we change the slide? So, just a couple of things which we need to keep in mind while we move through this presentation. Okay, occupancy, ARR, and RevPAR. These are the basics of the hotel industry, and these are the terms that we are going to talk about. Just to introduce you to what it means, the occupancy is the number of rooms sold as a percentage of rooms available. So, a small example, if we have 50 rooms in a hotel and we sell 25 of them on a night, we actually are at a 50% occupancy. That's 50% of the total rooms available to sell. Okay. Team, if you have questions, I would request you to put it on the chat box. I'm live on the chat box. I can answer you if you have questions and if you do not understand any part of what I present to you at this point of time. Okay. Average room rate. So again, that's a technical term for you, but it's a simple calculation. So it's a total revenue. Again, if we are selling those 25 rooms and we do a revenue of 25,000, then it's 25,000 divided by the 20 rooms. That's our average room rate. And the RevPAR, okay, RevPAR is the most important criteria that the owner looks at, because when a owner gives you a hotel, he gives you, say, suppose 100 rooms, and he wants what is your revenue that you do by selling those 100 rooms. He is not very interested whether you sell 50 or whether you sell 70. He has given you 100 rooms to play with, and he has a certain revenue expectation that you do from those 100 rooms. So it's basically the revenue of 25,000 that we earlier spoke about, that we sold 25 rooms worth, divided by 50 rooms that the owner had given us. So the RevPAR always is lesser than the average room rate because it's divided by the total rooms that I have available. So again, if any questions, please ask me. These are the fundamentals that we're going to talk about in a couple of slides from here on, so that you understand where the hotel industry stands in the chart of the Indian industries. So you will understand why it's exciting to be a part of this industry.
Yeah, Ishan, I will just interrupt you. Can you please tell us what is RevPAR once more? Because if the revenue generated from selling the rooms, 25 rooms is suppose 25,000, and
Yes,
total rooms available to sell,
is
that
50.
means 50. So
Yes,
25,000 divided by 50 will give you RevPAR, right?
exactly, ma'am.
Okay, sure. Please
So
go ahead.
RevPAR is, like I said, the owners have given us 50 rooms, right? That's what we have. So he's worried about me selling all those 50 rooms at a certain revenue. I'm sure that's not a possibility all the time. All the hotels do not run at full occupancy. But at the occupancy that they do, what is the justice they're doing to those 50 rooms that the owners have given? That's what the owner looks at.
Okay, please.
Okay. So that's the sweet spot that I would like to show you. Uh, if you see, this graph has been taken from Hotelivate, which is one of the strongest hotel research bodies in India. And what they have seen is, after reviewing some 1,000+ hotels in the international segment, in the international chains, 35% of the hotels have been able to pull through an occupancy between 70 to 80%, which is an indicator of the hotel industry being in demand, which is the indicator of guests traveling into the country, as well as domestic travel happening. So, which is a great indicator for the economy as well. When the domestic or international travel booms, it means that people are going around to do business. Okay, there are two kinds of travel today. There are many, but dominantly it is the industrial travel and tourism. So, which is leisure tourism. So these are two different domains, but India as a country is pretty much strongly driven by the industrial demand, and there are some pockets in India who have really developed well in terms of tourism. Other than that, industrial demand really fuels the country of India. We can go to the next slide, please. So you can see some facts and figures. Unfortunately, team, we do not have figures which are of the current times, because current times everybody has diverted their vision to fight COVID and get measures how to get out of this COVID fiasco. But as I said, we are going to look at the brighter times, because these brighter times are what would come back again. This is a momentary setback that the world is going through. And so if you can see, travel and tourism is one of the fastest growing sectors in India. It contributes nearly 1/10 of the country's GDP. The domestic travel spending generated 87% of the travel and tourism GDP in 2018, which means that the domestic travel within India. So, like when I sit in Bangladesh, I can give you this example in a very, very firm way. In India, the Indian travel fuels at least 60 to 70% of the travel that happens in India. Having said that, like if I'm sitting in Bangladesh, there is no travel if international travel is switched off. Okay. But then in India, that's the advantage that we have. We are such a robust economy and such a robust country that you will see all the time that there is a great opportunity for the Indian travel. So I'll just give you an example. Say suppose somebody who works in IBM Bangalore has to do some work in IBM Kolkata, so he would be traveling to Kolkata and probably staying for 5 nights. So that's something which India has a very, very strong contribution from. India has a lot of industries that are indigenous industries, as well as industries that are related to foreign investments, foreign industries. So they give you a lot of base, they give you a lot of occupancy. So India itself is a strong driver of occupancy for Indian hotels. Okay. So and you can see with the shift of focus, the Incredible India campaigns, the tourism boosting campaigns, medical tourism, and all these other efforts by the government is also uh, giving us a lot of results, which is something which you all need to look forward to, that the country somehow feels the need to improve the tourism infrastructure, which would eventually lead to us competing even more strongly with in a global platform with other developed countries in terms of our tourism infrastructure. And you can see down below in the slide how the foreign tourists and the Indian tourists grew over the past 8 years in the country, 8 or 9 years. That's a phenomenal growth, and that's called being sustainable, team. A growth has to be sustainable. It has to be gradual. If it goes up and down, we do not, we are not in a great position to predict trends. So all of my team members who would have statistics as a part of their paper, I would want you to have a look at this data. And, this is a stable trend that we are looking at here. Again, do not consider this year, because this year is going to be detrimental to the trend. However, we've had a pretty stable trend over the years here. Can we go to the next slide, please? So like I said, guys, it's a sustainable evolution that we are seeing in India. You can see a part when 2007, 2008 was a scenario when we were hit by the global recession. It definitely did a little damage to the occupancies. And before that, in fact, the country's graph was pretty flat. You can see the line which is going up, that's the occupancy of the country. And you can see the dip in occupancy during the recession, 2007-8. And then gradually the occupancy has been increasing in a very sustainable manner. And you would ask me that the occupancy went up to 71, 71, 68, and then why are we struggling today to go to 66? Well, the market does correct itself. And what also happened over the last few years is there's been a massive influx of international brands and hotel rooms in the country. So it's been a situation where it's a larger availability of hotel rooms, yet you can see that the occupancy has not reduced phenomenally, which is a sign of extra business flowing into the economy. Okay, so this is something which we need to understand. I was asked this question a lot of times when I was working in Kolkata, that what happens, is Kolkata in a very bad shape after all the new hotels like Novotel, JW, and Westin have opened? Well, my answer would be no, because despite the additional number of rooms, the occupancy did not reduce. So it also filled the other hotels that came into the city, which is a sign of additional business flowing into the city. Okay, you can see that the Indian hospitality industry was at its heights in 2019. It's unfortunate that we could not see ourselves scaling new heights in 2020, because all the hotel chains had a massive expectation from this year. And it wouldn't be surprising for me to tell you that the first couple of months of 2020 were also very good for the hotel industry in India. We can go to the next slide, please. Perfect. So Team, any questions till now? Am I running too fast? Am I running too slow?
I think it's absolutely fine, Ishan.
Perfect.
Everybody is enjoying. Yeah, please carry on.
Thank you. So you can see that the hotel industry here in the chart that you have on the top left, you can see that, rooms are coming in, rooms were coming in. And that's the sign of, all these big international chains do a lot of research before they invest in a certain market, because it's a feasibility, it's a massive budget, it's a massive investment once they build a hotel. So they do their research before they move into a certain country or a certain city, whether it would be feasible for them to open a hotel of that size. Today, I would like to educate you that Marriott International itself has 3 hotels in the city of Kolkata. Can anybody name the 3 for me?
Students, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Please do
Can I,
respond to his question. What Ishan?
guys? It's absolutely fine to not know, because you're not a
Yeah,
subject
but still
matter.
you respond, no? You should respond yes or
You
no,
respond.
something like that. Yeah.
What are the 3 Marriott International hotels in Kolkata?
JW Marriott, Fairfield, and I think Westin.
Absolutely, Sarthak. You're bang on.
Great.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
So
Yeah.
that's what we're
Yes.
trying to say. So Marriott International has 3 hotels in the city of Kolkata and 1 in Siliguri as well. Okay, so that's the expansion that we are looking at. Yeah. So, and Accor Hotels does have Novotel Kolkata and Ibis Kolkata as well. So that's the outlook that the hotel industry had when we came into the industry in 2006. The only 2 international, there was actually Hyatt Regency Kolkata. That was the only international hotel in the city. And then eventually, we had the Swiss Hotel. We then had the Westin, the JW, the Novotel, and so on and so forth. So Kolkata also was a market that was getting a lot of attention. Thankfully, we had IT as a great buffering industry, which gave us a lot of support for these hotels to start being self-dependent, getting into strong occupancies. I can tell you, in my stint at Swiss Hotel, uh, for all those 9 years, we've never fallen below 70% occupancy in the hotel, which is uh, not to say that we did a brilliant job, but also to say that it was a situation where occupancy was available in the city. And that then comes the choice of which is the business you want to choose to make your business more profitable. Okay, we'll come to that at a later stage, but you see the graph below. So Marriott International, being an international chain, holds the largest number of room inventories in the country, which is followed by Taj. So, that's the kind of investments that you're getting from international chains. That's the kind of focus that you're getting from international chains, which is uh, an indicator that, this is an industry which needs people. Once they have more hotels, they would need more resources. They would need, resources like you, resources like me, who are going through a professional education and can do justice to the positions that would come up once these hotels would be operational, and once these hotels would be willing to do strong business. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, please. So Kolkata, my city of love. Unfortunately, I'm not sitting there at this point of time, but it feels great to see, that HBS speaks about Kolkata being also a focus uh, city for international chains. We can see that Kolkata would also close to almost have a 70% growth in terms of hotel rooms in the city, which means that new hotels would come. And all of us sitting in this room who still think whether it's the right industry, I would urge you all to, give it a shot, understand, because there are functions that you are being trained on, and those functions are, uh, heavily reliant on technology, heavily reliant on human touch, which we all need to understand, which we are learning while we are in the B schools, right? We'll be able to be much stronger than a normal graduate, because we have that expertise. We learn statistics, we learn sales management, we learn segmentation, and it's just about applying what you learn when you go there in the industry and sit on your chair. So be sure that you are uh, grasping this knowledge while you're at the institute, because that edge is always a stronger edge when you have that education as a formal education in your life. We would also see, with all due respects to a lot of my colleagues who have grown in the hotel industry, but they have possibly come through hotel management, and the figures, to understand figures, to evaluate numbers, is sometimes a little bit of a challenge for them. Thankfully, all of you are blessed to be a part of institutes or education systems where you're going through these figures, where we're having to uh, improvise, analyze figures, which would be a part and parcel of your life in any industry that you go. And I would like to tell you that the hotel industry also is heavily dependent on numbers and figures and projections. So uh, one small tip: do your classes well, guys. Yeah, let's move on to the next slide. So what is in it for me? Vifum. Okay, so why should I come to the hotel industry? So that's what I was just pulling through in the last slide: specialized professional course assisting in our professional grooming. So this is the advantage that all of you are going to have when you go to any industry, as a matter of fact, not only the hotel industry. So this professional grooming that you're getting in your institute would help you pull it through much stronger than a lot of your colleagues, or a lot of the competition that you're going to have from other resources who would not be exposed to this professional education. So it makes you future ready. It makes you a person who would be able to grasp on trends, market trends, uh, to address and solve management challenges. All of you in our, us in our course curriculum would have HR as a part of our subject, right? We'll have organizational behavior. Ma'am, thank you for that. As a part of our subject, right?
Yes, right.
Team, it's important that we go back and apply what we learn here. Okay, in order to manage a team, what I learned from ma'am when I was in class has been helping me to manage teams of almost 30 people that I have. You have to, you have to have a SWOT. You have to have the uh, strengths and weaknesses of your team. You would have the highs and lows of performance, and it all boils down to this education that would help you go ahead and handle those situations on a daily basis. Okay, so today the books that we have, the huge textbooks in our bags, might not look relevant to us, or a class. Sometimes I'm more hungry to go back to my break, or I'm still thinking about the cricket ball and the bat. But unfortunately, all those would be also there in life. But my small humble urge to you is to follow your classes, guys. Follow your classes, team, because this is what you're gonna go back and apply. And this hotel industry is an industry which you can grow phenomenally if you have that hang for knowledge, hang for that hunger in your belly for business, the hunger in your belly for recruiting the right people in your team. And like I said, the hospitality industry is really, really growing today, and that growth can only fueled by these budding talents that you have in yourselves. This will help you fight the battle and win the race and go on to the top of the industry. So get into the curriculum, understand these things, get into more of practical understanding. Okay, take case studies. uh, there are a lot of white papers on hotel industries. There you can go back to the internet, you can search for the site that I have been referring to called Hotelivate. Make a note of it, and I'm telling you, I had no inclination, or I was not sure that I would be a part of this industry. But fortunately, I did my interns with ITC Sonar, and that's when my life in sales started. I'll give you a small story of what I had to do for ITC Sonar. So my boss there had two projects in his mind. One was to scan the business cards and make a database which they would be using for their loyalty program, and the other one was to scout, to go out to sector 5 and Rajarhat, and I'm talking about, that's long back in 2006. Okay, infrastructure not that strong. Come to Rajarhat, go to all the corporate offices, do a survey for them between ITC and the Hyatt Regency. At that point of time, these were the two strongest competing hotels, and I had to find out why would somebody choose the rooms of ITC over Hyatt or Hyatt over ITC. Same for banqueting. Okay, that was my project. And I did have to go from office to office trying to get a survey done. And that was, unknowingly my exposure to sales calls. And I had prepared a project which was again based on statistical data, which was based on market research, which was based on market segmentation. So that's what helped me suddenly have a look at the hotel industry, because at the end of the day, guys, it's a flamboyant industry. You get to do the best things in life. You get to travel international. My trainings in Swiss Hotel used to happen in Dubai, right? My first training, my international travel was in Phuket. How many of us would dream of going for a training in Phuket? And I would not be ashamed to tell you that that was my first international trip.
Exactly so.
Yes, I had not even been on an aircraft before that.
Mhm.
And that was my first international trip. I was staying in a resort hotel in Phuket, which is probably today a happening destination. Not many people knew about it in 2012. At least it was not a favorite for Indians. It was
Right.
always Pattaya that we Indians would land up going to, but it was exotic and it blew my mind. And that's what I'm talking about. In the hotel industry, these are the things, these are the perks of being in the hotel industry. uh, my second travel was in Dubai. I did a crisis communication training in Fairmont, Dubai, which is one of the most luxurious hotels in Dubai. So
Mm.
yes, team, I mean, it's not only boring numbers that you will look at, but you will look at exotic destinations. Being a part of Marriott International, I have access to an employee rate to so many hotels. Today, if I would travel to Fairfield, Kolkata, I just sent my director of finance to Kolkata yesterday. Okay, he had to do some work in India. So he's staying at a rate of 1100 rupees plus taxes. Can you guys beat that? He could stay at 3500 at a JW Marriott Kolkata. He's an Indian, so he's going back to India for some work, and he would stay that cheap. That's also a perk of being in the hotel industry. All you need to worry is about your air tickets. If you want to travel, you want to chill out, you know sky is the limit. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So a little bit about my life, team. So fresh out of B school, did a little bit of a market research though. And then, a lot of us, when we are asked, I have had numerous number of interviews that I have interviewed the candidates over the last few years. And, there's an expectation from us B school graduates that when we go out, what would you like to do? Marketing is the answer. Team, marketing and sales are two different, divisions which marry each other. but we need to be very sure. And today we have professional education, we have digital marketing, we have so many streams of marketing that we can look into. So we need to know whether our flair is in sales or whether our flair is in marketing. And the hard truth is, I would always recommend one to be in sales for at least a couple of years to know how sales works. That's when you augment that sales with a proper marketing strategy, with a proper marketing tactics, so that you know on ground what is required. Okay, a lot of us would have that aspiration that we would want to go to marketing right after MBA. All right, that's possible. You can go to digital marketing, but exposure into sales is always great, because you know what your customers want, you know what your clients want. If you do a digital marketing, you know which is, if you're doing a social media marketing, you know what geography you should be promoting things at. You should know what are the countries that give you business, what are the, if even if you're going into retail, if you're going into FMCG, you should know where to market it. And for you to know where to market my product, you need to be on the ground, you need to understand sales. So please have that mind open for sales. uh, I would love to talk about the other disciplines. The other discipline which is very, very relevant to the hotel industry is HR. The international companies especially have very, very strong HR procedures, exceptional training modules. So whoever's got that inclination towards HR or training might as well look at this as an option. It really, really grooms you up, and it really, really has a lot to offer in terms of HR. Do not think that Ishan works for sales, so he's only going to vouch for sales. HR itself is a great, great arena for management graduates to go and excel in the hotel industry. Okay, and there is definite growth for good resources who come into HR. So like I said, guys, adaptation phase, there would be a phase in life when all of us would have to adapt to market dynamics. We would have to adapt to sales calls. It's going to be a first 1 year is going to be really, really, you know I would say difficult yet rewarding. So my placement or my first hotel job was with the Hotel Hindustan International, Kolkata. And I'll be honest with you, for the first 6 to 8 months, a new resource. Today, things are different, but at that point of time, would not also qualify for a sales car for the sales calls. So it was walking up and down the buildings and understanding, getting new clients, building relationships. And the best part of sales in the hotel industry is to build a trust of your customer. They trust you, they know you, they start supporting you. They know there's somebody who's a consultant for them at the hotel. Yeah, always try to be a consultant for your customers. That's what you will learn in your curriculum. Ensure you understand that, ensure you believe that a run of the mill, just a salesperson never would succeed as much as a consultant would do. If you can say, sir, you can leave everything related to the hotels to me, so that you need to concentrate on jobs that you also do, right? The hotels is not the only job of a corporate customer sitting in IBM, right? That gentleman or that lady would take care of logistics, would take care of travel, would take care of ticketing, so many things. So if you say that you do not need to worry about the hotels aspect, at least leave that to me, I will take care of that. I am telling you, 80% of your job is done. Okay, so my key sales achievements, a little bit on how I grew and how I would expect all of you budding geniuses to come into the industry and grow. Your first couple of years have to be really, really hard, and you got to really get down into the depths of the market, get down into the depths of the sales, and have your relationships built. So I spent about 3.5 years in HHI, and then I moved to Hyatt. Well, that stint was not that big, but I immediately moved into Swiss Hotel when I got the opportunity to open the hotel. It was a pre-opening exposure. And trust me, guys, my fundamentals were built there. The systems that they used in international chains were way more upgraded than what I had seen in my initial life with HHI. And you know, the clients that I met, the power of the business card. Okay, this is something which all of you would enjoy when you're in the industry. The power of the business card. When you drop a business card which reads an international brand, trust me, guys, it's much more easier to convince a client than a lot of other, local chains. And that's what you should aim to. You should aim at working with these hotels and enjoying life, wining and dining with the clients, sitting in a five-star restaurant and dining with a client, convincing him to do business. There's so much of flair that you're going to have in your jobs. It's really something which all of us dream to, right? Going for a dinner at five-star hotel. How many of us would have that as a even, there's nothing wrong in saying, even that was my aspiration sometimes when I used to look at these hotels from outside. All of us would surely think, right? That becomes a way of your life in the hotel industry, team. You sit with customers in a five-star restaurant, you wine with them, you dine with them. That's life, and quality life, I must say. Can we move to the next slide, please? So a little bit more on what I do now as a leader of sales and marketing. So revenue, revenue, revenue. Okay, that's sales. We need to understand, either whether it's sales or marketing, all of us are running. We are the people who are running and responsible to feed the mouth of the entire hotel and the team members. We have to make the owners of the hotels happy, as well as the management company. So it's driving the revenue and taking responsibility of a budget that we commit. you know Hotels like us have two entities who we work with. One is the owner. So I'll just give you an example. So the JW Marriott Kolkata is owned by the money group of companies, but it's a Marriott hotel. So it's called a management contract, where the owner has an understanding, has a contract with Marriott International to manage their asset and give them a certain revenue as per their expectations. So that's what we do. We ensure that those expectations are fulfilled. Develop and execute strategies. Today you will see a lot of strategies, but real life strategies, how to get the maximum out of your client, how to get the maximum out of the market that you operate in. Okay, implementation of budgets, understanding of the competitive landscape, which is a huge landscape, team. It's just not Kolkata. If I work for a Kolkata hotel, I have to understand the competitive landscape of a Florida, because say suppose a company like PricewaterhouseCoopers only travels out of Florida. So we need to know what's happening in Florida. We need to have our ads popping up in Florida travel portals. So there's a lot of work to do, which all of us who would really enjoy doing such stuff, because um, it would give you a high. Let me tell you guys, when you see that you popped up an ad somewhere in Florida and somebody booked you through that ad, there's nothing more satisfying to see that you've popped up an ad on Facebook and you have somebody coming to your doorstep seeing your ad on Facebook, right? Recruitment, management, and training of sales and marketing teams. So training, as I said, is a very, very important aspect today in international chains. We are trained to handle. We have, despite me doing all those courses in sales, I must tell you, every year I still have to do those trainings, which sharpens my skill in sales, right? You have your own budgets as a sales leader, which is also something which you possess. And it's on you how you fairly you know allocate such budgets. You would have budgets for entertainment, where you will call your clients, you will wine and dine with them. You will have budgets for softwares. You would have budgets for travel, which is very, very important. In my last couple of years with Swiss Hotel, I think every month I had to travel to Delhi. So, you start living the life of a business traveler as well, right? I get to stay in a Pullman hotel in Delhi. I am not sure how many of you would have seen the hotel, but it's a brilliant hotel. The Pullman Novotel complex in New Delhi Aero City is more than 600 rooms. I get to stay in a suite in that hotel, right? And I get to join a meeting after that with my leadership team, and I get to join a training as well. So that's the life we're talking about in the hotel industry, guys, and it starts from pretty early. As even my sales executives would travel to, even as incentive trips, our sales executives would be traveling to Bali, to Maldives, once they get their uh, targets right. So that's something which is very, very rewarding to this industry. You do well, you have the focus, you get to travel international, you get to travel domestic to the most exotic locations, and you also get to learn a lot of cultures, you get to learn a lot of systems, you get to get yourself in a situation where you can sit with any other industry and talk to them about uh, systems and procedures, right? Can we move on to the next slide, please? So that's kind of a sales team that director of sales and marketing manages. Having said that, I would like to tell you that these are the streams that we are talking about. These are the streams that all of us can aspire to come and join. So we have proactive sales. Proactive sales would be the team members who would run out in the market to get business. It's more or less the corporate sales team who go out in the market to scout for corporate business, corporate clientele, and mice. Can anyone here tell me the full form of mice, please? Mice.
Hello, sir. Good morning. This is Shrestha here.
Hi, Shresha.
Sir, is it about meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions?
Absolutely. Brilliant, Shresha. See,
Thank
we
you, sir.
already have budding people who understand these jargons from the hotel industry. So,
It
yes,
was it was not known to me, Ishan. It was not known to me, but it is known to my student. That's great.
that, that is
Yeah,
brilliant. And you know what? In the last
yeah.
5 years, this is the segment in the hotel industry that has seen the maximum amount of growth. Mice
Okay.
meetings, incentives, conferences, and events. Mice business, group business, because with all the pharma companies doing their town halls, doing their quarterly meets, this is something. And earlier there were no hotels. Today in Guwahati also we have standard hotels where there is mice happening. So all over the country there's been a huge thrust in mice. So the proactive sales team goes, there's 100-room group, they go out, they scout for the group, there is competition, there is 3 4 hotels fighting for the same business. It's your convincing power, it's your willpower that helps
Mm-hmm.
you get that business in,
Okay.
right? So mice happens to be a substantial part of it's almost 15 to 20% of the room business share in most of the hotels. It's even larger. In fact, for a hotel like a JW Marriott, mice would ideally contribute to 30% of their room business.
That's great. Good percentage of business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Moving ahead, we have a reactive sales team. So this is something which is coming newly. Okay, so earlier we had a banquet sales team and we had a room sales team, and that was about it. But today we have a proactive sales team who's just responsible to get leads. So that's me, guys. That's me talking to you, a proactive sales resource who's grown into be a DOSM today, director of sales and marketing. And there's a reactive sales team who does the back end work for the proactive sales team. So if I get a lead, if I get a group, the reactive sales team tries to sit in the hotel, meet the guest, send a proposal, confirm the lead, show them around the hotel, okay, fix up the banquet that they need, fix up the rooms that they need, show them in the rooms. So that's the job of the reactive sales team. And today, as we all know, one of the biggest revenue generators of the hotel industry is weddings. So the reactive sales team would also have a few resources who are predominantly ladies, who are wedding specialists at hotels. They know what the wedding clientele needs. They know their food and beverage requirements. They can talk about the menus. And trust me, guys, this segment of business is one of the highest paying businesses in India. We would ideally sell a room to a wedding guest. We would not sell less than 50, but we would sell a room at 8,000 plus taxes in Kolkata for a wedding group per room. So that's way above the Kolkata average rate. The Kolkata average rate in 5 stars is about 6,500, and these rooms would sell at 8,000 rupees. Okay. So while we move ahead, marketing and PR is also a very relevant part of the hotel industry. Digital marketing especially, I'm sorry to say, but we didn't have digital marketing during our times in the curriculum. But today digital marketing is the way to go for the hotel industry. It gives you a much larger reach uh, to your customers. As I said, sitting in Kolkata, you would have a customer traveling out of Finland, and they would book you through uh, booking.com, which is an online travel agency. So you need to know, can I do something with booking.com? As I have some people traveling from Finland into Kolkata, can I do something with booking.com to pop up an ad for uh, my hotel in Finland? Or Expedia, they already have something called a travel ad. So you see your markets, you see the city, which are the places where your travel is happening from. So if you have a travel from Japan, you start putting up your ad in Japan, right? So these are the things which are there. And PR, of course, all the hotels liaise with the consulates, with the most in thing today is the food bloggers. And I'm sure all of you in Instagram would be following at least one food blogger who talks about food, right? So the job of the PR is to ensure that the food blogger is at the hotel, and he or she reviews your food, and there's a review up and visible on Instagram for reaching out the customers. So like, it is very important for us to decide, okay, we should give it some time. We should decide in any industry, as a matter of fact, where do we want to be in future? What do we really want to do? Do we want to be out in the market? Are we more confident being inside the hotels? uh, are we more confident doing marketing? Are we more confident doing PR? And we need to be very sure about it, so that we do not have cognitive dissonance when we are down in the industry. We're there, we're jumping jobs every 1.5 months, 2 months, 6 months. It doesn't help. Understand, reach out to your teachers, reach out to your seniors. This is what I want to do. Should I go about things like that? It helps you build a CV which is of merit. It helps you build a CV which the employers would trust in future. Okay, so try and do that always. Do not just jump into a job in your first job because they're probably paying you 2,000 more than the other company. Think it through. What is your flair? And then try to at least stick for a good 2.5 3 years with your first job to build your fundamentals. And after that, sky is always the limit, right? So there are other functions that we also deal with. Revenue management was earlier a function of sales and marketing. It's been uh, made into an allied function. It's a very interesting field as well. So anybody who has interest in statistics, numbers, could also choose revenue management as a field for your future candidature. It really helps you, forecast, understand 6 month trends, 12-month forecast, budgeting. That's all revenue management. And of course, it's an allied function for myself as well as a director of sales and marketing, but all of you can do a little bit of research for that as well. And finance, I would say my minor in finance has helped me tremendously understanding the budgets, understanding the P&L statements of the company. Those are also important functions which we have to deal with on a regular basis. So important that we keep a track on that as well. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Any questions till now, ladies and gentlemen?
Any questions, please?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
So like we said, so everything in the country of India is going through tremendous reforms, and the new education policy, ma'am would probably be able to tell you better than me on this. I have just kept it as an indicator to all of you, because this education policy is going to make a vast change to the way we look at education today. It's going to be a lot, grooming you for a better future, grooming you for curriculums where you have better exposure and you are industry ready. So these are things which are coming our way. These are things which are in discussion or already deployed, and we need to take the traction of it. There would be our juniors, our cells who need to really take leverage of these things, and that would also eventually lead for us to be more industry ready. Okay, next slide, please. So like I said, I didn't want to get into the darker side of life with COVID, because I think all of us spell out this COVID word at least once in a day nowadays. Having said that, I've also put the way ahead, because we always need to look at the brighter side of life, or at the light at the end of the tunnel. So we're seeing, yes, the hotel industry was one of the most you know affected industries during COVID, because we had to shut down hotels in the entire globe for months together. But we have seen shoots of recovery, and that is something which is very, very assuring, because everywhere in the world we have seen. I When I came to Bangladesh, I had just traveled a couple of weeks back to Kolkata for a personal engagement, and it was assuring to see that despite the international terminal in the airport being completely empty, the domestic traveler terminal was booming with travelers. So for sure, people have learned to live with this pandemic, have learned to be safe, have learned to take care of themselves, and have learned to fight it out. So nothing is constant. This COVID was here. It did set us back for a couple of days, and I'm sure we individuals for the future of India, for the future of this world, would not be stopping at COVID. There would be, massive changes in the way the customers interact, massive changes with a lot of things, but we as individuals will be able to adapt to this and move forward, march forward as well. Okay. So the interesting story might be that there's no opportunity, but we really don't feel that way. The RevPAR and occupancies are on a growth path every single day, team. For us also at Westin Dhaka, this is the operational hotel. Sheraton is something which we will open in the next couple of months. I'm a pre-opening director of sales and marketing. So every month we've seen a growth in terms of our revenues. So do not get disheartened because of COVID. I am sure all of us speaks about COVID at least once in a day, right? So just leave it behind you. Take care, be safe. Do not be easy on the fact that we are used to it, but also try to put it behind you in your lives. May I have the next slide, please? So that's what we were talking about. There's going to be a lot of change in customer behavior. Something which really did well in the past few months is staycation packages in the hotels. So that's something which has been a great success for the hotels, and nobody could imagine that JW Marriott Kolkata would be hosting a staycation for somebody out of Kolkata. But because travel is restricted and everybody is getting you know, you know, troubled and worried staying at home, what they have started doing is take a small break, go to the hotel, enjoy with your family, enjoy with your kids, your wives, your husbands, and have a great time at hotels. And you know, be international chains being a place where safety and security and hygiene is being at the top end of it, the guests also have the confidence in coming and staying there. Okay, so India, you know, I'm sure once this thing passes by, there'll be a great demand for good resources, because the other darker side of the story of this pandemic has been layoffs. Lot of people have been laid off in the world. You know, you open LinkedIn every day, I see somebody writing that I've lost the job during COVID. Would be really helpful if you can give me the lead. So this also means that there'll be a huge thrust for good people once the economy opens up, and that's what every one of us should be looking forward to, should be ready for that. Okay, can we move on to the next slide, please? Yeah, so these are the things we have to do. Like I said, you know, support the full load workforce. I can read that in bold out of all these points there. So you know, it's been very unfortunate that a lot of people have lost their jobs, but the positive side of that is, as soon as things open up, there are going to be massive demand for jobs, and the hotel industry is definitely going to leap back, because everybody who's been waited for so many months to travel, so many months to do their business, would start traveling again. Okay, so we have to look at all these things. Loyalty is very important. You know, guest loyalty programs, every chain invests millions of dollars to ensure that they, you know, they give rewards to guests who choose them above a certain property or a certain chain. So these things are great and important. You know, uh, important mergers, as we also saw massive mergers take place. Starwood and Marriott merged into become a huge chain. So these things would also be there, and as much as they happen, they would have opportunities for people like you and me to scout for new workplaces, to scout for better jobs, to scout for, you know, better opportunities, or even growth in our personal careers. So please have a lookout for what's happening in this industry. This is an industry, like I said, is going to be very rewarding. It's a glamour industry. It's a industry where things happen. You know, when you have a new company coming, say suppose a new company is coming into your city, the first essence of that company happens in the hotel, because they come and stay, and you know, they do the meetings with the government. So you are the first person who smells that uh, you know, essence of new business coming into your city. So those are things which are really exciting. I would probably only be able to convince you by the slides while I speak to you, but when you really step into the industry, you will see the real fun of it. You know, a new airline comes. I'll give you an example. When the Dragonair Cathay Pacific came into Kolkata, they stayed for 2 months at Swiss Hotel to set up their base in Kolkata. So that's brilliant. You know, you get to know those people. They stay at your hotel. You've got foreigners, you've got people from all across the world, and you know them. Today when I come to Bangladesh, I know so many people who I have interacted during my times at Kolkata. So it's a small world, team, and I have my boss who's worked with one of my ex bosses. So it's a small world, and that's how you get connected in today's world, right? Can we move on to the next slide? So again, repeating what I said, team, look out for your flair. Decide. Do not jump into a job just because you need to get a job. Decide your flair. Go for your counselings with your teachers, with your placement officers, and then jump into a job. You should not be in a position where you are not happy with your work. Okay. Where you are happy, you will be able to deliver that. I think that was the first slide in this presentation, where JW Marriott says keep them happy and they will keep the customers happy. It is to a great extent our responsibility as well to ensure we step into a workplace where we would love to work. Okay, look out for options of internship at hotels. The hotels always look out for interns because there's a lot of work in the media. So please try and look out for options. Reach out to the HRs of these hotels through your placement teams and seek for internship. And always, guys, do not seek for, when you are in an internship in a hotel, try to seek for something in sales or marketing where you see customer exposures. Do not settle for scanning business cards in life. They're not going to get you anywhere. Okay, look out for new hotel openings and apply for entry level positions. Like I said, once things would come back in shape, there's going to be a huge demand for skilled team members, and that's where you come into the picture. That's where we come into the picture. Ensure you always leverage that scenario. And of course, follow hospitality news websites and pages. Like I said, uh, Hotelivate is a brilliant place to get hospitality news, which is very much relevant to India. There are many other such sites. If you require, do reach out to me over an email. I will give you updates on where all you need to watch out for the hotel industry news and updates. So, and of course, LinkedIn is a brilliant platform where you can connect, where you can find out about the hotel industry. Please be on social media. Okay, not only Facebook team, be on a professional social media as all of your management professionals, and it will help you groom you up for your future. Read articles, read what the world is saying about how work, you know how work is done today, how to handle teams, how to manage businesses. You have all that on LinkedIn. So try and have your LinkedIn profiles always updated and made. That is mostly what I had for you, team. I'm sure I spoke quite a bit to all of you. uh, Being an ex student of the institute, I really feel that these are the things which I could have possibly done better. uh, and I have done better, and during the course of these years I've learned, and that's what I keep on telling my teams as well. Be sure of things that you do. Have a plan in mind, at least a 3-year outlook for yourself in mind always. Okay, hotel industry is a brilliant industry. It will give you brilliant exposures. You will grow as an individual. You will grow as a human being. You will professionally grow. You will learn to meet and talk to people in a much more easier way, than the exposure is pretty high. My reporting way back in 2014 was to the vice president sales and marketing, who was a French gentleman based out of Dubai. So I had to groom myself up. I had to groom myself up to be directly able to converse him with his first name called Frederick, and not sir or Mr. Savoy. I had to learn to call him Frederick. Okay, that's what the hotel industry teaches you. It teaches you being professional. It teaches you how you can be a global citizen, right? So that's all from my side for today, team. I am happy to answer a few questions that you may have.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Shweta.
Sir, I had a question. Sir, this sector, hospitality management sector, is a leading sector currently in India's services sectors. But sir, the competition is equally high. Like people, there are from hotel management, hospitality management. There are many such. Even the courses are coming up. So to compete with them, we as a business management student, how should we improve our competency? When we are put on the same, same platform, same competition. So how should we be improving? How should we our approach be there? So this.
Absolutely. I started with that. You are getting an education which is much more, uh, you know, uh, diverse. So that diverse education is something that you should always use to your benefit. Somebody who's doing a hotel management or a hospitality based MBA cannot really understand what's going on beyond that. For you, you're getting a, funnel of education, which like I said, organizational behavior. I thank ma'am for, I used to get scolded quite a bit in class for not concentrating, but as much as I concentrated, I apply that in my life here, okay, and it really helps.
But
Well,
Ishan, now I don't teach organizational behavior. I used to teach you people, but I don't
yes,
teach now.
that's what I
Yeah,
remember, ma'am.
yeah, yeah.
Sir, I had one more question here. So
Sure.
even on LinkedIn these days, they ask for niche, niche course things that whatever you're applying for, you need to have knowledge for that particular sector, or for that, niche market. So when you are saying we have knowledge of diverse markets, so will that be helping us? Like,
It will.
want
So, like I said, decide on where you want to be. If you want to be in the hotel industry, try and figure out an internship with the hotel industry. That's how you get the exposure from both the sides. You
yes, sir.
get your educational exposure as well as the little bit 4 6 months of industry exposure, which helps you get a grasp of the industry. Okay,
Industry.
that
Yes, sir.
helps you. Well, that's what helped me
Exactly.
be in this industry. I from nowhere ever thought in my life that I would land up in this industry, and you see, I've spent 15 years in this industry.
Yes, of course, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? Is there any other question from the students? Ishan, I have got a question for you. Like,
Sure, ma'am.
what are the steps you do to have your revenue management? What are the measures taken by hotel industry?
So, ma'am, revenue management is a very, very important
Right.
uh, stream of the hotel industry nowadays. Okay, and the steps that are taken is definitely, sales resource deployment at the right places, account qualifications. It is very important in today's date to understand which is the account that, that is able to stay with you. All accounts are not our accounts. So
Hmm.
qualifying the right accounts, getting that right account in place, getting that list of right accounts in place, and then having the team to reach out to these accounts. Definitely today there are multiple channels of booking. So the most important that every brand wants is their own channel, which is marriott.com. Okay, so
Yeah.
digital marketing plays a very, very important role in ensuring that we convert people who are looking up online, because online contributes to almost 25 to 30% of the hotel's business in today's date. So it is very, very important that we have our eyes and ears open online, followed by the online travel agencies like booking.com and Expedia. So we need to ensure that out of those 100 odd rooms that we spoke about, or 50 odd rooms, we need to sell it in a way that we sell it to the highest paying person for that room, yet having a base for sustenance. Okay,
Hmm.
so that is the game of revenue management that we play. We ensure that we decide between the stakeholders like myself, the general manager, and the revenue manager, that this is the base that I would want to have on a regular basis. That could be long stays, that could be crew business, that could be any business that is a secured business. And once we secure to a certain range of occupancy, we start playing the game of, it's like bidding, who pays
Hmm.
me most for that room. that is
Hmm.
that is something which we need to look out for. We need to have the right rate in place for that, not going too much like a cowboy, but still being very, very, you know understanding of market trends. There are multiple tools to see that. We have our rate comparison tools, where we our rate versus the other competitors rates in various online channels can be seen, and then you, based on your brand value, you decide a rate that the customers would be willing to pay, because at a certain rate you are tractionless. So today, sitting
Exactly.
in Dhaka, if I say I'm going to sell one room at 50,000 a night, nobody's going to buy me. I probably would have a traction till 15,000. So something like that.
do you have, I think my blue, Ishan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, ma'am.
Yeah. So, do you have anything called concession on early booking, as
Yes,
it is given in
absolutely.
Indian
Absolutely.
airlines industry? Yeah.
It's called advance purchase.
Right.
So the advance purchase is definitely something which the hotel industry has as well. So in the hotel
Yes.
industry, the rate should always grow like this. So
Mm-hmm.
today, if I'm booking for 3 months out, someday if I have to travel 3 months down the line somewhere, I should get a cheaper rate than what I would pay at the last
Yeah.
moment. So we have a rate called advance purchase. We call it ADPR
Right.
rate. So in a revenue meeting, ideally between myself, the revenue manager, and the general manager, we would always see a 90-day out progression, and we
Mm-hmm.
see where are we standing 90 days out in occupancy as well as in rates. So we start closing the gap as we get closer to the date.
Exactly.
We start
Reduce, increase the
building the rates
rate.
up
Mhm.
basis the build up of occupancy. So
Exactly.
that's what we do, man.
The same thing is happening in the airline industry also. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
So, is there any other questions? Is there any other questions? Let me see in the chat box.
I have a
What are
question from Shrestha there. What are the
yeah.
stepping stones for a MBA graduate towards the hotel industry? So Shrestha, we spoke. So the stepping stone would be to groom yourself up if you would like to be a part of this industry. You should start. We definitely, all of us spend a lot of time on social media these days. I would urge you, if you wish to be a part of this industry, take out that 30 minutes in a week. That's not a great ask, that's not a huge ask, to really research on the industry, any industry as a matter of fact, that all of you wish to go. Take out that
Mhm.
30 minutes in a full week to dedicate some time sitting on the computer and reading about the industry, what's happening, what's the top news, how do we get there, what are the basics of sales, how is sales evolving, how is finance evolving, how is HR evolving in these industries. Okay, that 30 minutes would help you get a lot of exposure into understanding how the industry works, and then choose where do you want to go for your interns. Go for your interns, work hard. As I again said, I'm not a guy who sits in office. Unfortunately, I have to these days because I have reached a position where I don't run in the market. But always choose a project where you have to do extensive sales meetings and understand how sales is. You will also get to choose whether you are a person who would be able to do 8 sales calls in a day or not,
Mhm.
right? If that's
Exactly.
not your flair, you decide it early in your life rather than repenting at a later stage that sales is not my cup of tea. Of course, marketing is a brilliant way to also get into the hotel industry. Ma'am, I am not sure whether we have digital marketing as a part of our course these days.
Yes, we have. We have. Because earlier the demand was not there, and
Correct.
so now it has been included.
So that's something which is a brilliant way to get into the hotel
Yeah,
industry.
right, right.
Trust me, they are looking for great digital marketing graduates. I look for digital marketing people. I had to wait for 6 months to get someone in Swiss Hotel, because all of the people who passed out at our ages or our batches have no clue about digital marketing. Whatever I've learned on my
Exactly.
own, but you
Hmm.
guys are getting professionally trained on that. So you can look at that as well. That's also a superb area to enter the hotel industry, where you don't have to do sales, but you have to advise the sales leaders how they should spend their money in sales on the digital platforms.
Exactly.
Okay, so these are the things you should do to ensure that you are getting ready for the hotel industry.
And Ishan, you have rightly pointed out that if somebody wants to join the marketing and sales without without having a strong sales background, one cannot excel in marketing. That is very, very true. And that the students have to understand from the very beginning. Whenever you are getting a chance to do your internship, do it very seriously. As Ishan was telling, you have to move around, you have to interact with people. Don't think that I want to do my internship sitting at home with all comfort. That will not help you to get a job, because that is a first step towards your job. So try to do your internship also in a very with full enthusiastic, with full energy, I must say. That's it. May I request our student to offer the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Respected faculty members, Speaker of the day, Mr. Ishandeb Chatterjee, seniors and my batchmates, good afternoon to all. I, Shweta Jha, student of first year Heritage Business School, am honored to propose the final vote of thanks. On behalf of Heritage Business School, I would like to thank Mr. Ishandeb Chatterjee, Director, Sales and Marketing, the Westin Dhaka, and Director, Sales and Marketing, Sheraton, Dhaka, Bangladesh, for joining us despite of his busy schedule and speaking on a very interesting topic of hotel industry, a great move for management industries. It's been a great learning session for all of us here, and I'm sure many of my batchmates and my seniors are thinking of joining the hotel industry after listening to this fruitful session. Some of the important takeaways from these sessions are fundamentals of hotel sector and its key functions, directions and resources required to excel in this sector, and how adaptation and salesmanship can help us succeed, the way ahead and skill set required to make a rewarding career in the hospitality sector. We are very thankful to you, sir, for such lucid and insightful presentation.